introduce himself later. Today we are going to talk about government shares and bond. So, like you guys, I hope you remember to subscribe and share the content, share everything.
Yeah.
The YouTube channel is content channel. You go there and subscribe. So let's welcome our guests today. I think he can introduce himself.
Yeah. Okay. Mostly people who follow the content TV,
they know you.
They already.
You are
know
not a
me.
guest.
I'm not a guest anymore. But let me first welcome you to this YouTube channel, because most people they are just hearing your voice and they don't see you. Eh?
They are asking you.
Let me try to describe you. It's just a brown lady. Eh? Let me try to describe this lady who is behind the camera.
Don't exaggerate.
No, I'm not going to exaggerate.
Okay.
Just a brown lady. Beautiful.
Somehow beautiful.
Somehow. Why are you using somehow?
Okay.
All right. Somehow beautiful. Okay, that's enough. I don't know. Maybe intelligent. That's why he's already on the content TV, because this is the only place where we share the things related to finance. Do you want money?
Of course.
As long as you're on the content TV, you're going to get money. All right. So you have said, okay, should I continue?
Yeah, you can continue. You can start the...
Yeah, I'm just waiting for you, because you said government bonds and shares.
Yeah, okay, that's the introduction. So you can talk about it and we'll see how we go about it.
All right. So normally, I'm just going to talk about government bonds. Okay, governments are different.
Yeah.
And that's why I can say that sometimes, because people follow us are not, okay, they are in different governments. And you find sometimes the investment of bonds can be a little bit look different. But
by the way, I can ask you, what's government?
What's government? There is a definition I used to hear in French.
Yeah.
But I won't say it in French. But they used to say that is for people that are made for people, works for people, by people.
Yeah, like that.
I'm just trying to give that definition.
Okay.
But some governments are not like that. Some are not made by people. You find that they are made by themselves.
Yeah.
So, talking about government bonds, maybe it will depend on the country that the listeners are in. Some rules and regulations may look different, but the formula of government bonds is the same. I'm just going to highlight the way our listeners can at least start investing in this government bonds and start making money, because the content TV is all about money. You know that?
Yeah.
Now, for government bonds, it starts with government. The whole story starts with the government.
Yeah.
The government, how? Because the government, maybe like a certain government needs to make a certain activity. Maybe it wants to construct a hospital. Maybe the government wants to construct a road. Maybe the government is willing to do something, but unfortunately they don't have money.
Yeah.
And you see now, Redemptor, government cannot come to you and say, you know, Redemptor, you render us money.
No, they can't.
No, the government, we assume it as if it's our boss.
Yeah.
Now, there is no any other way the government can come and say, you know, Redemptor, give us, we want to construct this hospital, give us some money. The truth is, the government will pass through the National Bank and issue the bonds. A bond is a type of a paper. Then issue a government bonds in value. Sometimes, maybe like you find it's like $1 billion. Let's take an example of $1 billion. After taking that $1 billion, the government is going to issue that paper and put the interest on that paper. Like a certain period, it can, for example, it can say that the paper is going to take 5 years. It's 5 years period, and the interest is maybe 15%.
Yeah.
But 15 is too much. Sometimes it's 12.
10, yeah, 10%.
10,
yeah.
12, like 11, something like that. Then after issuing that paper, then people will come on the market in the National Bank. Mostly it happens in the National Bank. It depends on the government.
Yes.
Then people bring their billions and invest and buy the paper.
Yeah.
Now, after buying the paper, you are going to own the paper for that period of 5 months. Or 5 years. Okay, it will depend on the duration of the bond.
Yeah.
Some can be 10 years, but mostly some are 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah, they can't go beyond that.
Yeah. So sometimes it can, but not too much. Now, when they sell you a bond, you are going to collect the interest as you agreed. So interest is calculated twice, but is given interest is calculated per year, which means if it's 11%, every 6 months they are going to calculate the interest for you. And after calculating the interest for you, they are going to deposit the interest to your account.
Okay. So now, you mean they calculate every month?
They calculate every 6 months.
Every 6 months?
Yes, I thought every 6 months they calculate, and after calculating, okay, they are calculating based on interest per year. Now, if it's 1 billion, now it's 11 billion, you hear that it's almost 100 million. It's too much money. It's too much money. Okay, when you invest just small money, you cannot understand that it's profitable. But if you put too much money, by the way, it is mostly bigger than the interest that the banks will give you. Yeah, because when you deposit money in a certain bank, they will just give you 7%. Okay, if it's too much, it will be 7%.
Yeah.
But mostly between 5 and 7. So putting your 1 billion to a certain bank, it won't give you much as you can invest in bonds.
Yeah.
Yet you are also helping the government to do what? To accomplish what the governments want.
Yeah.
The government bonds, you don't get any loss. After that, for example, a certain period is achieved, like the bond was 5 years, and then the 5 years has already reached. The government will return back the money. It has 2 ways it can do. It can get the money and pay you in terms of cash, or if it doesn't have the money again, it's going to bring back your bond to the market, so that someone else can buy the bond and pay you and hold the bond as a new property.
So they put in another person.
They put another person when they don't have money.
These people are wise.
You get. So now they put it back to the market when they don't have money. But unless again the government bond, it's normal, you can maybe buy it for 5 years. Then after 2 years you want your money. This is how you will do it. You will bring that bond to the second market. Okay, it depends on the system of a country, but you will bring it back to the second market, and people will buy that bond and continue the following interest. Which means if you have been collecting the interest for 2 years, you get? Then the bond was for 5 years. Then if the bond was for 5 years, you collect interest for 2 years and you want to take it back to the market, it means the one who will buy it will continue with the interest. And even by the time of taking it back to the market, he is the one to receive the money because he paid you through with the last 3 years. So that's how people make money in bonds. The interest is too much. It's better than putting money somewhere in a certain bank, where sometimes even when you don't even tell them that you want this money to get interest, this bank will not give you any interest. But if someone is having too much money, if someone is having too much money, maybe the money is stored on account, and you want to make like a long-term investment, you can take your money, go and buy government bonds. You get?
Yeah, I get.
Some people can say, sometimes government changes and the money disappear. No, as long as the government will still there, unless when the country stay without a government. Because if I had a bond and the new government like came, I would just go and claim about my bond, so that new government will take an initiative to pay that bond.
What assurance do you have that maybe these things that you've done, it's real between you and the government?
Yeah, it's real because you will get that paper from the National Bank. It is assigned by the governor of the bank. You get? So you are sure that the paper you are taking is legit. By the way, you don't buy it elsewhere. These are there are also another type of bonds. I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah, I wanted
but
to ask
I
about
first
that
talked
one.
about for the government bonds. Now, there is also other type of bonds called corporate bonds.
Yeah, components of bonds.
Corporate bonds, how does it work? For it, it's like normally, okay, it depends on policies of monetary policies of a country. But most of African countries, it's very hard for you to go in a certain bank and say, I need almost too much money. Okay, mostly some countries I can determine, I can talk about Rwanda, other countries like mostly in East Africa. It's very hard when you want almost 3 million USD. It's very hard to go in a certain bank and say, I want a loan of 3 million USD. Because these banks, local banks we have, they also get loans from the national bank. So you cannot go and enter in a certain bank and say you want 3 million. That's total liquidation in a certain bank. So once a certain industry or a company is wishing to do maybe to expand the business, maybe the industry, and the budget of that expansion is above 3 million USD. So if it's above that, okay, if it's above that, that means the bank cannot lend that money to that certain bank.
So, Robin, let me ask you, what's the real reason for these people, like, for the banks not to give certain amount?
Yeah, it's because when the bank decided to give you that certain amount, it's not allowed, maybe. It's not allowed. I'm not saying it's not allowed by the national bank. Because once the bank gives you that money, it means other clients, when they come to pick the money, they want to get the money.
Oh.
So that's why you find most different banks have different limitations. You go to withdraw, they tell you it's 2 million a day. You go to withdraw, they tell you it's 2,000 a day USD, for example. Okay.
Is it worldwide or is in Africa only?
No, not only in Africa. Every banks around the world have different limitations.
Oh, okay.
Because it depends on the country and the limitation and the monetary policy, as I have said. But there are some countries you find when you go to take a lot of money, leave alone even taking, even depositing. Yeah,
so what is it?
leave alone even
borrowing, but also depositing.
Even depositing. You can take a lot of too much money at the bank, they tell you no. Where did you get this money? That's why you find people decide to keep their money in terms of Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies. Okay. Others, they just put it. I don't know if it's true, but I heard the rumors that by the time of Los Angeles fire, people were crying like nothing. But they were not crying for the houses. They were crying for the money which was inside the houses. Because their business.
That's true. Yeah. Some people keep their money in their houses.
Yeah. Now you find they were crying for the money. For you, when you see them, you think that they are crying for what? For the house. Yet they are crying for them because Los Angeles is popular for heroin, cocaine, these casinos and what? And that money you collect in terms of most of the time you cannot identify where you got it from. So mostly depositing, if you take that back to the bank, my dear, CIA will arrest you just in 30 minutes. By the way, there is even an agent of CIA around. You get?
Okay.
Now, that's why you find the monetary policies of some countries limit the withdrawal amount. Because, let me give you this theory. What the theory of banks, redemptor on Monday, you go, you put 2 million. Or maybe, let's just use a common currency, USD, 2,000 USD. Then, after depositing it there, for me tomorrow I will go to look for a loan. Now, they won't give you the money for the bank. They will give me the 2 million for redemptor. You get the logic?
Oh, I get.
Because these guys are just collecting the commissions.
Oh, okay. I wanted to ask, like, where do they get the benefit from?
The benefit is, for you deposit, it's zero. They won't give you any profit. But once I will go to withdraw, they will charge me an interest rate.
Of how much?
Sometimes 10, sometimes 12, sometimes 18.
And that's where they benefit from.
And that's where they are benefiting from.
Okay.
They are not benefiting from their money. They
Yeah.
are benefiting from the redemptors' money. You get it's a very big scam.
I think in a few years you're going to you're going to own our own bank.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You get now this bank, suppose that this bank cannot give you that too much money. So what you need, you will issue a corporate bond. Okay, there is certain institution, regulations that regards to institution to issue a certain bond. And after that, a certain company issue a bond, that bond will be bought by someone. It's like lending money to a certain company with an interest rate. But you see, redemption, if you have 1 billion, you cannot give it to any company. Okay?
Yes.
Because you are not a bank. You cannot just lend for an interest rate. But through bond, with an interest, issued interest, because the bond always, there is a certain regulator to accept that a company can regulate can have a certain bond. So once you get a bond, you are sure that this company will have to return my money with its interest, because a certain institution, government institution, has already issued the bond. It is totally different, like from you taking you yourself approaching an industry, or maybe an industry to approach you, and you borrow the money to the industry. Sometimes the industry can come back and tell you, you know what, we have got loss. But for this corporate bond, the government is in between, and that bond has insurance. They are very sure that after 5 years, after 10 years, the debtor will get her own money.
Do they give with an interest, or they just
of course, there is an interest rate. It can be okay. Mostly, I have tried to visit some different markets, online markets. I have seen that the interest lies between 7 and 15. Sometimes it depends. Okay, when the government wants too much, or maybe an industry wants, well, maybe an institution, a company wants too much, can put too much interest so that people can be interested to borrow the money. But that's how then the institution will just issue the bond, or will just raise the bond. Then it will be issued by the government institution. Okay, then the bond will come on the market and people buy it. Okay, it can be for the period of 5 years. It can be for the period of 10 years. Okay, can be the period for 20 years even.
Oh, 20 years.
Yeah.
Does it reach there?
Government bonds, mostly they reach there. But there's no problem for many years, because you are collecting interest per year.
Yeah.
So it's like an investment. If you have your money, you just put it there, you keep consuming interest. And you are very sure, unless when you lose the bond. But if you manage to keep the bond, maybe now we are in IT. It's not like old ages where we used to keep papers at home, and the rain comes or the fire. Then going back to they tell you we don't know where is the bond. At least now things are in the system, and whenever you go there, they can get your bond, and they know that this certain person, redemptor, has a certain bond, and we are willing to pay redemptor back. So I'm trying to, I have decided we have already decided to talk about the bonds, government bonds and corporate bonds, because many people are still keeping the old model way of investing. People are still believing in beans and potatoes, where they go and bring it from a certain village, or maybe doing what they don't believe that someone can buy paper, money, and wait for the interest from the paper. Sometimes it is even very hard for some people to believe. But at this time, when we are talking about bonds, we have tried to explain, there is a limit for a bond, by the way. Okay, not every man can attend the market. Okay? But in some countries like Rwanda is only 100, when you have 100,000, 100 francs. Uganda, it's almost $100, 340 something, 370 something. to make $100. You can got the money. I don't know what you can find there if you can get a bond, but in rules, some rules of the countries gives a limitation to someone who can attend the market.
What's the limitation?
I'm saying the minimum amount for you to reach in the market.
Okay.
Just it depends on the monetary policies of the government, but bonds are like that, and we wish people who will. I know some people will try to ask different questions, and we will go next time. I hope we will talk about the shares stock.
Maybe I can ask you some question.
Yep.
Like what's the biggest risk in those bonds?
Bonds. Okay, bonds is zero risk. Bonds are zero risk, but there's some risk can appear in a direct way. This risk can come from inflation. For example, you just take your money a certain for buying a bond, and then the inflation becomes too much. This money will not increase anyhow. Because these guys, when you cannot go to a certain government, you say, me, I'm going to buy a bond in terms of dollar. They will always accept the currency of that country. Yeah. You see? So now the inflation can be too much if it's 20 years. You find that the money you kept it there, even if they give it to you, you are getting nothing. Because let me tell you, there are some countries. Let me give you an example of a country called South Sudan. Because last year in 2023 I was there, and I was surprised. I reached there, it was in March 2023, and to get 100 USD you only needed to have 35,000 South Sudanese pounds. Only 35,000. It's too less.
Yeah, it was little.
But after when I reached there after 3 months, the currency went to 65,000 to get 100 USD. Do you get that impression?
I get.
Now, after some months, I left there to get 100 USD. Now you needed 150 South Sudanese, 150,000 South Sudanese pounds. Within a year, as we are talking now, to get 100 USD, you need 600,000 South Sudanese pounds just 2 years back. You get the inflation rate?
I get.
It has doubled and tripled and what? So if you have taken your 100,000 South Sudanese pounds to buy a bond, you get? You just take it there, and the inflation like that one comes. They give you that interest of 100,000, you get? Then when the bond is finished, they give you that 100, which cannot even buy 100 USD. While before, that 100,000 pounds was almost to buy 300. I think you get the loss.
I get.
The loss is in inflation rate. Okay. If the inflation rate becomes too much, it's going to be, you are also going to face the loss. But if the inflation rate is stable, my dear, you are going to collect your profit. It's a very good and a long-term investment.
That's the only risk.
That's the only risk, and okay, of course, there should be also a stable monetary policy. Before you go and invest in the government bonds in your country, you need to know if the monetary policy is good. If your country is not facing too much inflation, like I cannot advise anybody in South Sudan to go and buy government bonds, because it is likely now to get 100 USD, they are going to $1 million. You take 1 million South Sudanese pounds, you get 100 USD. That's why I'm saying it's not good for, if you know the monetary policy of your country is not stable. I cannot recommend you to go and start investing in bonds. Not only bonds, government bonds, but also corporate bonds. Yeah. So I think that's what I had to talk. If you don't have any question, that's what I have to talk about.
I think maybe people can ask in comments.
Yep.
Yeah, they ask those questions, and you are ready to answer them.
Yep.
So Robin, thank you for today.
Thank you.
I think maybe
these guys, you tell them to subscribe to this YouTube channel.
Of course, like
they should,
you guys should subscribe to our content channel.
This is the only way where you get advice for money.
Yes. If you want to know how to make money, more money.
more
You know, in
money.
this world,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
need money
Everything
and more
is
money.
Mm.
So if you want to know how to invest money, how to get money, you people should come to our content channel, subscribe, share the content,
Yep.
and do likes. Yeah.
See you next.
See you next, Robin. Bye.